Well, the clock on the wall says 7 o'clock. So good evening, council, staff, presenters, the press, and online viewers. Welcome to our second annual virtual information session for 2021. We begin tonight's presentations by acknowledging the land on which we are gathered, which is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, specifically Mississauga. We would like to also acknowledge the North Channel Métis Council. We say miigwech to thank Indigenous people for taking care of this land from time immemorial. We are all called to treat this land, its plants, animals, stories, and its people with honor and respect. Our first presenter tonight is no stranger to the area. Graham Lowry is President and CEO of North Shore Power Group, which is owned by the town of Blind River. On behalf of all of us, welcome, Graham. The floor is yours.
I'm just working on it here, getting it going. Okay, can you see the first page of my report out there?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So this is our this is a mid-year report for 2021. We're also I'm going to make some reference to our 2020 results. Our format this evening, I'm going to give a short presentation, and then our chair, Chris Assels, is here with me, and I'm going to turn the floor over to him about halfway through. So without further ado, I thought I would start with an update on a company called Omni, which was formerly Plasco. Their interest payments are in good standing with us. Plasco changed its name to Omni Conversion Technologies on January 1st of this year. As previously reported in our audited financial statements, Omni was in default on some of the interest owed to us, approximately half the 2019 interest and the 2020 interest, but they got all caught up this year. They paid all their overdue interest payments, part of it on February 17th and the rest of it on April 5th. And they also paid some penalties, and they paid everything in full. Some good news from the Omni camp. They have sold their first commercial GPRS unit. GPRS, it stands for their gasification and plasma refining system. They've entered into an agreement to sell a machine to the Larson Land Climate Change Foundation. The first machine sold for US $35 million, and Omni, formerly Plasco, has received a down payment of 8.75. The contract was signed on April 23rd, and the company that's going to be installing it and building the balance of plant is a company from California called H-Cycle, and the parent of that company is an investment firm from Calgary, Alberta called Azimuth. And the Larson Land Climate Change Foundation is funded by a San Francisco billionaire and his wife named Chris Larson. You can read about Chris on the internet. He was the founder of XRP, which is a cryptocurrency. So, so that's the first bit of news, that Plasco/Omni has finally sold a commercial unit. So we're hoping that's the beginning of good things to come on that front. I thought I would also just give a summary on what we've managed to do working on our recoveries with Omni, formerly Plasco. In October of 2011, we invested $25 million into the company. And then in February of 2015, they filed for creditor protection, and North Shore Power, along with Canadian Water Projects, we saved the core intellectual property of the company and the corporation itself from bankruptcy proceedings. And we sold it back to its founder, Rod Dryden, with our full debt intact. So just to give you a quick snapshot of our recovery efforts, because it has been a bit of a salvage operation since 2015. Our monetary recoveries to date total a little over 7 million in principal and a little less than 7 million in interest. With some interest that was capitalized as part of the CCAA process, the base principal due to North Shore Power today is 19.54 million, which is due to mature at the end of the year 2026. This income, the interest income, will augment our ability to contribute to our balloon reserve fund established in cooperation with the town in June of 2018 for the purpose of building an asset to offset our 2037 final payment to the town so that it might make its final payment to the CMHC. So that's a lot about what's going on with Omni. And this is just an overview, which some of you may have seen before, of our power project portfolio, what we've accomplished in terms of development and construction. 124 built projects, 4.34 megawatts of installed capacity across Ontario, from Rainy River to Ottawa to Sudbury to London, Kitchener. We have solar projects all over Ontario. And then we have 13 clients that we serve under long-term operating and maintenance contracts. 3 of them are hydroelectric and 10 of them are solar. And this information will be available later if you wanted to look at this chart more carefully at another time. I'm very happy to report that our power production has continued to grow and continued to set records. From 2013 to 2016, we averaged approximately 2 million kilowatt hours. And in 2017, our production exceeded 3 million kilowatt hours with new project additions. And in 2020, we hit a record-setting power generation of over 10 million kilowatt hours with the completion of all of our contracted projects. So I'm happy to say that Blind River was on the leading edge of getting into renewable energy long before, well, not long before, but in tandem with this current climate crisis arising. And we're not fixing the whole world, but our town is doing its part. NSPG expects to be able to publish our board-approved 2020 audited financial statements early next week. The auditors are actually here tomorrow to present them, and they will be available on our website. We only have 15 minutes, so I'm going to wrap up here on behalf of the entire team at North Shore Power. We thank you for your interest in our progress and for taking some of your valuable time to log in and hear our presentation. It will be available for viewing on our website. And it's now my pleasure to introduce a well-known local executive, kind of retired, but seems to be building something all the time, Mr. Chris Astles, to provide his views and outlook as our chair at North Shore Power.
And while we're waiting for Chris, I'll just ask all presenters if you could turn on your videos. That would save our viewing audience not only from looking at the pictures, but also knowing who is presenting those overviews. Thank you. And Chris, over to you.
I don't seem to be able to get. Oh, there we go. Okay. 1 second. Okay. Sally, can you see that chairman's presentation?
I can.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Graham. It's great to be here tonight once again.
No?
So I am Chris Astles. Continues to be my pleasure to serve as the chairman of the board for the North Shore Power Group. I've been a member of the board since 2015 and learned an awful lot about the organization. The potential value of our receivable from Omni, so formerly Plasco, appears to be on the rise, and our core power generating operations continue to hum along profitably. As an essential electrical service during the pandemic, North Shore Power Group continued to work continuously in the office and in the field throughout the lockdowns. It's worthy of note that North Shore Power Group did not request or receive any funding whatsoever from the various government pandemic financial support programs. We were self-sufficient. The tireless efforts of the crew at North Shore Power over the past decade to strengthen North Shore Power Group are producing tangible and positive results for our community, and they are further detailed on the next slides. Each and every year since 2010, North Shore Power Group has borrowed from the town of Blind River, and the company has made its full loan payment, and the town has used these funds to make its full loan payment to the CMHC. In addition to these funds, during 2020, North Shore Power Group has paid out $81,909 to the BRDC, so a council-operated entity, for the rent of the GTEC building, over $25,000 to the town in FIT program lease payments, where North Shore Power Group paid for the generating equipment, and these are at the arena and the GTEC projects. $8,900 to the town in microfit equipment lease payments, where North Shore Power Group paid for the generating equipment at the landfill, fire hall, the golf course maintenance building, library, marina, seniors cultural center, the sewage treatment plant, the tennis courts, town hall, and of course, the water treatment plant. Just under $66,000 to the town in project revenue sharing arrangements for power plants at the industrial park and at the hospital. So related to the SS5 LP, where North Shore Power Group is the 51% partner. And these are at the North Shore Health Network, the fixed 100, 200, 300, and 400 tracker projects, which are at the solar farm. $13,000 to the town in project revenue sharing arrangements for property used at the industrial park, and it's related to Saturn and Bigger. So on an annual basis, for instance, in 2020, we paid out $194,900 to the town towards the CMHC payments, in addition to the CMHC payments, and also to the local residents. So we paid out $37,754 in microfit equipment lease payments to Blind River area project owners on projects where they made zero investment. We also made a significant donation to the town-owned golf course, where we installed a tracker at a cost of $75,941 to help offset their electrical consumption. So I joined the entire team at North Shore Power Group in thanking you for your interest in our progress and for taking time, some of your valuable time, to hear our presentation. This presentation will be available for viewing on our website. And of course, our website has much more information on it if you have any interest in it. If you ever have any questions, feel free to call us at North Shore Power Group.
Thank you so much, Chris, and thank you, Graham. And I do encourage the public to go on the North Shore Power site website. It has an awful lot of information, and I'm sure our viewers would be fascinated to see all the things that have transpired over the years. So again, thank you. So the Municipal Affairs and Housing Ministry plays an integral role in how municipalities are run. Here to explain their role are Leah Yackley, Municipal Advisor for MMHA, and Kathy Horgan, Manager of Local Government and Housing. Kathy and Leah, take it away.
Hi, thank you, Your Worship. I'm Kathy Horgan, Manager of Local Government and Housing in Sudbury. I unfortunately don't see Leah. Not sure if she was able to join or not, but I'll be delivering the presentation. I was hoping Leah would be able to be here. She's a new advisor for in our office, and she has assumed the municipal advisor role for Algoma District. So she'll be working quite closely with your municipality going forward. But I'm happy to deliver the presentation today, and I just have to figure out how to do that. Is there a share screen, or I'm good to go by just starting my presentation?
There is a share screen. If you go to the bottom of your panel, you'll see a green.
There we go.
Okay.
Got it.
Good.
Okay, let me just put this in presentation mode. Okay, can you see that?
Not yet. If you press your,
Not yet. Okay, we've got to, oh, there we go. All righty,
I'll let you know when we can see it.
share.
Just coming up.
Okay,
There we go.
perfect. Now I have to find my notes. All right, so thank you again for inviting us here to present to you today. I'm really happy to be here and providing this information to members of council and and to the public. So I'm not sure if you're going to entertain questions today, but if there are, I would ask that questions wait until the end so that I can get the information, present the slides and get the information presented.
Kathy, just for your information, all our
Yep.
questions that we asked to be sent to the town were to be in the town by July 6th, and you are fortunate not to have any questions.
Oh, well, there we go. That's great. Okay, so I just gotta move next slide. Okay, so for those individuals who've seen ministry presentations before, you will recognize this slide. It's our disclaimer. And really what this is intended to say is that the information that we're providing today is being provided as a general summary and is not really intended to provide direction or legal advice. We always encourage members of council or municipal staff to refer to the relevant legislation that we're talking about for additional information. So today's presentation, as I said, is intended to be to provide a general summary of the relevant legislation, namely the Municipal Act, and to highlight some best practices or leading practices as they relate to local governance. So the information we're providing is not intended to address any specific questions or issues related directly to the town of Blind River, but it's general information in nature. So there we go. Slide 3. So first, I'd like to start by providing a little bit of information about the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing's Municipal Service Office in Sudbury. So we are a regional office and we work with municipalities and district social services administration boards, so our DSABs, all across northeastern Ontario. So for those who aren't aware, the northeast geography covers the districts of Algoma, Cochrane, Manitoulin, Nipissing, Parry Sound, Sudbury, and Temiskaming. So we have a vast geography. We go south from town of Parry Sound, township of Seguin, over to North Bay area, Mattawa, all the way up to Moosonee to the north, and then over to the northwest, we cover Hornepayne and White River, so and everything in between. So it is a vast area, and as the services that the municipal service offices, or MSO is what we're called, the primary services that we deliver is to be the point of contact for our ministry, and from time to time we may be your portal to other ministries as well. So what we do, we help build municipal capacity through advice and training. So we could provide advice and training on elections, council roles and responsibilities like we're doing tonight, and accountability and transparency. So we can deliver presentations on other portions of the Municipal Act, Municipal Conflict of Interest Act, and council staff relations, codes of conduct, that sort of thing. We also identify and disseminate leading practices. So in our work with municipalities, we'll find some municipalities who are undertaking very unique or creative projects and finding new ways or innovative ways of doing business. So we like to keep track of those and share those stories with other municipalities, so that municipalities can learn from each other, and so that they can improve their services as well. Sorry, I'm losing my mouse. And then through partnerships with municipalities and various associations, we will work together for the common goals of municipalities. And then lastly, we build effective relationships. So through meetings like this or through other events, we will work closely with municipalities, try to help them resolve some of the issues they're having, and or we'll deliver other education and training events. Annually, we host, our office hosts an annual clerks forum, and we also host an annual treasurers forum. And so those are the ways that we'll try to educate and train municipalities and share information. Okay, there we go. Council roles and council and staff roles. So the information in this deck, as I indicated, is based on sorry, I haven't indicated this yet. The information that I'm talking about today is based on information that's contained in the new Counselor's Guide. And that guide can be found on the ministry's website. So any information that I share here today, you can go on to the ministry's website and find the same information as well as additional information that is contained in the Counselor's Guide. It is updated periodically throughout the year. Typically when we make changes to the legislation, we'll update that guide. So there were some changes made to the guide in 2014, in 2020, and related to council's ability to meet electronically, as well as allow for proxy voting. So the new guide, or the Counselor's Guide, now has those new provisions in it. So I won't talk about specifically those things tonight, but that's an example of how we keep the guide up to date. So the key to any organization, whether it be government, business, industry, or a local service club, is for everyone to understand their respective roles and responsibilities. So over the next few slides, we're going to review the role of the head of council, or the mayor in your case, the chief executive officer role, the role of council, the role of the clerk, the treasurer, certain discretionary staff positions, which are all key to an effective and efficient local government. And we'll also cover how they all can work together. So in the next few slides, we will explore how all of council collectively makes decisions in the best interests of the whole community, what the mayor's chief executive officer role really means. We'll talk about council roles, and we'll talk about municipal staff function. We'll also provide information about how council and staff roles relate to each other, and how at times they may even overlap slightly, but still remain independent. Oops, doesn't want to switch for me. There we go. So council's roles are set out in section 224 of the Municipal Act. And the slide pretty much says what council's roles are, and that's pretty much what the Municipal Act says. So members of all council will represent the public, and they're expected to consider the well-being and interests of the municipality. Council will develop and evaluate policies and programs of the municipality. They will determine the services that the municipality will provide from time to time. They will ensure that administrative policies, practices, and procedures and controllership practices and procedures are in place to implement the decisions that council makes. They will ensure the accountability and transparency of the operations of the municipality, including the activities of senior management. So that doesn't mean that they do the job of senior management. That just means that they ensure accountability and transparency over those functions. It's still senior management's responsibility to ensure that that work gets done and to actually do it. Council is also responsible for maintaining the financial integrity of the municipality. And they will also carry out other duties that might be assigned to them under the Municipal Act or any other piece of legislation, because it's not just the Municipal Act that councils must follow. So the next slide, we'll talk about the head of council role. So in Blind River's case, you have a mayor. Depending on your municipality, the head of council could have different titles. So you may have heard the title Reeve. So it's up to the municipality to determine the name of their head of council. So the head of council has specific duties of his or her own that are assigned to the head of council under the Municipal Act. So, sorry, I'm not sure if I mentioned, but it is section 225 of the Municipal Act where you will find the head of council roles. So the head of council will provide leadership to council. That'll be at your council meetings. They typically chair the meetings, and they will, often have conversations with, staff from time to time, and seen other levels of government, and they will provide that kind of information back to council. They will act as the chief executive officer, and I have another slide that will talk about that, so we'll explore that in a minute. And the head of council will also provide information and recommendations to council with respect to the role of council. So in doing that, the head of council will ensure both administrative and controllership policies, practices, and procedures are in place along with council. And again, it's along the lines of ensuring the accountability and transparency of the operations of the municipality. So the head of council will advise council and provide information and recommendations with respect to those two council roles. The head of council also can represent the municipality at official functions and can carry out other duties as assigned to the head of council under the Municipal Act or any other act. So in section 226.1, of the Municipal Act, the chief executive officer is defined. And some of you may be familiar with, the term chief executive officer or CEO of a business or a corporation. The two are very, very different. So the CEO of a corporation really, they really run the corporation. But the CEO in the municipality's case is more like the like a president of a corporation, where with very limited roles and responsibilities, but again, not doing the day-to-day. Head of council has one vote, just like every other member of council. So if you have a 5 or 7 member council, where you have one head of council, and say on a 5 member council, you have a head of council and 4 members of council, all 5 members would have a vote, the same vote. And they vote independently on decisions. So with the CEO position, the head of council has, as I indicated, certain responsibilities. So they uphold and promote the purposes of the municipality. They will promote public involvement in municipal activities, in the municipality's activities. They will act as the representative of the municipality, both within and outside the municipality. So, for example, there is, if a municipality is, requesting a meeting with a provincial or federal ministry, then typically it's the head of council that would represent the municipality at that meeting. The head of council would also promote the municipality locally, nationally, and internationally. In addition, the head of council would participate in and foster activities that enhance the economic, social, and environmental well-being of the municipality and its residents. And those are actually outlined in the Municipal Act. With these responsibilities, the head of council has a high profile, public profile, or a leading role within the municipality. But it is very important to remember that council's decisions, as I indicated, are made by council. They're made by the entire council. And that, council is the decision-making body for the corporation. In addition, the head of council is also required to sign all council approved bylaws and contracts. So there's actually a section in the Municipal Act that will account for that. So slide 7. So this slide here is just to kind of showcase to you how the 3 roles that municipal councils have and how they and to showcase that they kind of work together hand in hand. So members of council have these 3 key roles, and they may overlap from time to time. For example, council members will have a representative policymaking and a stewardship role in the municipality. Certain issues may be complex and controversial, and many decisions that councils make could have long-term consequences that may extend beyond the 4-year term of council. So moving on to slide 8. So the representative role is pretty much as it is intended to mean. So members of council are elected by the constituents to represent their views when dealing with issues that come before council. However, as you know, constituents can have many views and opinions, and members of council need to recognize that they cannot represent all of them all of the time. So in other words, as a member of council, you're never going to make everybody happy 100% of the time. There's always different points of view. There's always opposing sides, and council's job is to make the best decisions, or a member of council must make the best decision that he or she thinks is in the best interest of the municipality, of all the residents of the community. So councils will have many issues to consider, and will have to consider a variety, as I indicated, a variety of opposing interests. And a lot of those decisions may not make you popular with everyone in your community. Council members must use good judgment and make decisions based on the interests of the municipality as a whole. And we like to emphasize that because there are certain situations where council members are elected by a ward system. So oftentimes council members who are appointed by a specific group of individuals in ward, oftentimes when they get to the council table, their decisions are made solely on the impact to that ward itself rather than to the whole community at large. So again, in those situations, councils have to balance those interests and still, again, have the best interests of the entire municipality in mind. So in practice, there is no single correct approach to the representative role, and on many issues, council members may find that they fall somewhere between 2 or more opposing viewpoints. So it's recommended that members of council familiarize themselves with any municipal policies or protocols that may be in place regarding the handling of complaints and citizen inquiries. Although councils may want to find some way of helping their constituents, they should always consult with municipal staff. So there could be a policy or piece of provincial legislation that could impact their ability in making a certain decision. So again, always check with staff to verify that. In addition, we do recommend that municipalities, in order to deal with citizen inquiries or complaints, we suggest that the municipality adopt a complaints policy for frequently asked questions, and so that the public knows who to go to when they have a complaint. There may be circumstances where decisions are made by designated staff that are at arm's length from the municipality, and where it could be inappropriate for elected officials to interfere or intervene in a certain matter. So an example of this would be a fire decisions made by the fire chief, the chief building official, or maybe even a medical officer of health. So there are statutory duties that those positions have, and no member of council or council as a whole cannot override or supersede those statutory obligations under the legislation. One last bit of advice is a counselor who has made, certain promises during campaign time may find that they cannot keep some of those promises, and they may lose credibility with the citizens and strain the working relationship with staff. So it's really important. I had indicated that it's important for council to have a good relationship and talk certain things over with staff, find out what's in the policies, because if you do, if you do get calls from the public and the public is, wants something to happen, you may not be aware of all the policies that may restrict what it is that individual wants to do. So it's best to have the conversations, and it could be that, maybe what the constituent wants to do is reasonable and it could result in a policy change. But again, that conversation has to happen with staff. Okay, slide 9. So your next role is the policy-making role. So some council decisions are going to be routine, others establish general principles to help guide future decisions. So those are your policy, larger policies. So those are often considered, as I said, policy decisions. Some can be more specific, such as a bylaw requiring dogs to be kept on leashes in a park, while others can be broader and more general in nature, such as the municipality's official plan. So how is a policy made? So this slide kind of gives a very, very high level picture of the steps involved in policy making. And these boxes will also give you a picture of how the council and staff will work together. So first, someone is going to identify an issue. That could either be staff, or it could be a member of council, or all of council. So council needs to agree on the facts and ensure that objectives are met. Then what they'll do is they'll direct staff to research an issue, identify and recommend options for council. Typically that is done by council resolution. No one individual council member should be directing staff. The direction to staff should be made by council and by council resolution wherever possible. I'll talk a little bit about staff here for a second. So when you're directing staff in a CAO or chief administrative position system, and your municipality does have a CAO system, if council would give direction to staff through the CAO, and the CAO would give direction then to whichever staff is responsible for that matter. Likewise, when staff report up to council, they would report up through the CAO. So picture an hourglass. So on the top, you would have council in the top triangle. Your CAO would be the little filter in the middle, and then the bottom would be your department heads and the rest of your staff. So think of the little grains of salt or sand transferring down to the bottom triangle to staff. It has to go through the CAO in the middle. And likewise, when you flip it over, again, it goes staff to council, goes through the CAO. So just wanted to put that out there now. Then the next step would be staff would engage members of council and staff may engage members of the public and consider their feedback. So again, depending on the type of policy. So say you are trying to make changes to, I'm trying to think, recreation services and service level standards in recreation. You may want to consult the public on that, get their feedback, advise them of what it may mean for them, that sort of thing. Then following that, staff would produce a staff report providing information for council's consideration, and then council would make its decision based on the best course of action available and then adopt the policy. The policy isn't, though the work isn't over then. So then it would be once council adopts the policy, then it moves over to staff for staff to implement the policy, whether it's the CAO or if it's a policy regarding road maintenance. Obviously, it's your roads department. Recreation, you'd have your recreation department implement it. Then you would work with, council would work with staff to evaluate a policy, that policy, and amend as required. So it's cyclical. So policies are often living documents. You're never going to get the policy right on the very first try. You will adopt the policy, you will let it, staff implement it over a period of time. In your policy, you will want a report back provision and have staff report back to council on how the policy is working. Or you may start receiving public complaints about that policy. Is it being implemented correctly? Is it being implemented harsher, maybe, or are there penalties that are being implemented maybe not as intended? Those sorts of things. The public will also let you know when a policy isn't working. Then what you would do is either council would bring it back to the table and say, hey, I received numerous complaints about our policy. I really think we need to reconsider it. Or staff may come back to council and say, you know what, we're really trying to implement this. However, here's where we're having some issues. So, and here's how I think we can maybe tweak the policy slightly to maybe overcome some of these issues. So policy making role, remember I indicated a little bit earlier where some of the roles may kind of overlap. This is one of them, where still the decision and the adoption of that policy rests with council, but the work leading up to it and following it is kind of the responsibility of both council and staff.
Kathy, in the interest of
Yep.
time, we are giving you
Okay.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay. I will quickly touch on the stewardship role. Again, the stewardship role, there's a fine line between council's stewardship role and the municipal day-to-day functions. The main point I want to make here is that council is the overseer. The staff take care of the day-to-day work, and any issues, then they would raise it up to council. But it really is staff's responsibility to provide that day-to-day business and report back to council when there's any issues or policies need to be amended. This slide here, slide 11, really covers, provides you with some ideas on how you can function in this role, like adopting good corporate objectives and setting goals. So I won't get into this much. They are there more for your example. The role of staff is defined under the Municipal Act. Some officers of the municipality, such as the clerk and treasurer and chief building official and fire chief, as I previously indicated, they all have statutory obligations that that council cannot supersede or interfere with. So staff's role set by the Municipal Act is to implement council's decisions and establish administrative practices. So once council makes the decision or sets the policy, it's up to staff to take that, go away and determine how best to implement it. That's the day-to-day function that council shouldn't be interfering with. They will undertake research and provide advice to council on various policies and programs, and they'll carry out other duties that may be assigned. It's very important that you work together, and that's where we get into council staff relations. So it's important for both sides to know their respective roles and respect those roles. They can all work together, but they still have to respect where their roles begin and end. So from a council perspective, you represent the public. you give direction, and you set policy. You make the decisions and you provide political leadership. From the staff side, they're going to manage the people and resources. They're going to provide research and advice. They're going to undertake all of the implementation, and they're going to provide the organizational leadership of the municipality for their staff. Okay, and that's the end of my presentation. Thank you again for inviting me.
Kathy, thank you so much for coming tonight. We really appreciate your insights. And I'm sure the public has learned a lot about council's roles versus the role of the ministry. So thanks again. Much appreciated. Our next presenter is the ADSAB, or Algoma District Services Administration Board. ADSAB is known for a number of different services. And tonight we have two directors that are going to be involved. We have Fred Sheligan, who is Director of Housing Services, and Laurie Pierre, Manager of Client Services. And I'd like to welcome Fred and Laurie.
Thanks, Sally.
And the floor is yours. France, if I can get you to turn up your mic. Thank you.
There we go. Sorry, I'm operating from a laptop. The mouse is not cooperating. So thanks, Sally. Again, I'm Fran Shelikins, and I'm hired by the ADSAB as the Director of Housing Services. And joining me tonight in my presentation is Laurie Pierre, Manager of Client Services. So I'm going to just start with a really quick overview of who we are. So ADSAB, we hear that a lot. It stands for the Algoma District Services Administration Board. We are one of 10 in Northern Ontario, and we were created under the District Social Services Administration Board Act. And our agency is mandated by the province to deliver download services that were downloaded to the communities within our jurisdiction. Our jurisdiction is set by legislation, and it covers the entire district of Algoma, excluding Sault Ste. Marie and Prince Township. And our agency is governed by a 12-member board, of which Mayor Sally Hagman is a member. And they represent the 20 municipalities in the one area without municipal organization. So the ADSAB right now is currently operating with an approximate budget in the region of 42 million, which is comprised of approximately 27 million in federal and provincial funding, 3 million from operating revenues, and 12 million from the municipal levy. The municipal levy is shared amongst the member municipalities, and it's based on an approved apportionment model. So ADSAB really delivers two areas of service. The Algoma District Social Services is one area, and that is comprised of children's services, which includes fee subsidy, childcare, and child and family centers. Housing services, which includes various housing subsidies, a mix of our own housing stock, and also a host of related support services, as well as the Ontario Works program, which includes financial assistance and related employment and other supports. So the other half of the ADSAB is the Algoma District Paramedic Services, and they provide emergency ambulance coverage, non-urgent patient transfers between the health facilities, and also the new community paramedicine program. So for the rest of our presentation tonight, we're going to just focus on the social services part of the agency. So I'm going to start with housing services because that is my unit. So under the Housing Services Act, we are considered a service manager. And as such, we're tasked by the province to oversee, fund, and deliver housing programs to people who can't afford local market rent, and services for people that are experiencing or at the risk of being homeless within our service area. So right now, our current housing system and portfolio is made up of several parts. We have public and affordable housing, where we own and we manage several buildings and houses throughout the district for a total of 454 units. We also have the nonprofit sector, and the nonprofit sector, we are the primary funders We govern and we help administer an additional 141 units of municipal owned and urban native nonprofit housing projects that are located throughout the district. As well, we provide a variety of rent subsidies to our housing tenants and also to tenants that are renting out of the private market. So a rent subsidy is basically just something that makes up the difference between what the market rent for a unit is and what that household can afford to pay. It's 30% of their income. Even without a subsidy, ADSAB's rents are typically lower than the average market rent for this area. And we usually have hot rent. So that means that your utilities and your heat are included with your rent cost. As well, we manage a centralized wait list for all of the applicants, both in Blind River and from other areas that are wanting to move into our housing or other housing projects within the district. And we have homelessness prevention. So under homelessness prevention, the province, MMAH, or the ministry, the lady that was just on, they provide us funding annually through a community homelessness prevention initiative. We call it CHIPPY for short. And we use that to design and to deliver a wide range of programs and services throughout the district that is, again, meant for people that are experiencing homelessness or at the risk of becoming homeless. And then just a little spin on funding. We did throughout the past year receive quite a bit of funding through the ministry. It flowed through us, and it was to assist all of the municipalities and the organizations that are administering social services within our service area in their response to the COVID crisis. So as far as Blind River, I'll be really quick. Comparatively speaking, Blind River has a fairly large supply of social housing, and they also have a fairly wide range of types and sizes of units as compared to the other municipalities in the district. They include family homes, seniors, and social housing in Blind River is mostly composed of, we have the 4 apartment buildings and several houses that are located throughout the town. We have a total of 126 ADSAB owned units in Blind River. So right now we have 53 applicants that are waiting for housing in just for Blind River. And those people, again, some are from Blind River, some are from outside, but the last count that I did, we were at 53. And their average wait time is 1 to 4 years. It depends, it really depends on where they're applying, the size of household. Some units go quicker, the overturn is much quicker, and some they have a longer wait time. I can say that the shortage is mostly throughout the district for one bedroom units for single persons or for couples. That is what we struggle with everywhere. That's universal. So in addition to providing housing and subsidies, we also have assisted several Blind River residents throughout the last year, and we do annually through using the CHIPPY pot that we have. We have a program called the Algoma Shelter Assistance Program, or ASAP, and we fund that through our CHIPPY pot. And we've also assisted many service providers that are either based out of Blind River or provide services in Blind River, based somewhere else, but have a clientele in Blind River. We also annually fund those services through using our CHIPPY fund. And again, it's an integrated approach on how we're going to assist with housing and with homelessness, to prevent homelessness. So again, just a little bit more on the social service relief funding and the mental health and addiction funding that we did receive. ADSAB received. It wasn't ADSAB funding, it was funding that came from the Ministry of Health, and also from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. It flowed through us, and we reached out to all the communities, all the municipalities, and most of these service providers, and we asked for people to put in their proposals for items that they were struggling with during COVID, how to provide services, how to reach people while people were isolated. And so we used those funds again so that people could have a better response and increase the resiliency in all of the communities for the vulnerable population throughout COVID. And I think that's probably about it. I hope I didn't take more than 10 minutes. It was 15 minutes, so I tried 5 minutes for the organization and 5 minutes for my housing, but I'm probably over. But next is Lori Pierre, and again, our two units work closely together with client services. Lori is our client service manager, so I'll let her take over from there.
Hi, thanks, France. So I've been invited to give a brief overview about what Ontario Works is. So Ontario Works is a program that provides employment and financial assistance to individuals and families in need. The program supports individuals on their path to independence as they take the necessary steps to achieve their goals. The Ontario Works program engages individuals and provides opportunity to develop new skills, access to training, and gain experience that will help make job search more successful. There are many benefits and supports available that can assist to stabilize an individual's life, help them through challenging times, and will support them in getting back on track while moving towards self-sufficiency. The Ontario Works program respects a person's dignity, builds self-esteem, and promotes independence. The Ontario Works program is committed to helping individuals achieve their potential by giving them the tools they need to succeed. So our services are provided across the entire district of Algoma, excluding Sault Ste. Marie and Prince Township. Our office is located in Blind River at 15 Haynes Avenue, and you can contact us by calling the local office, by emailing client support, by visiting our website at adsap.on.ca. Our local offices are open Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 12, and 1 to 4:45.
Thank you so much, Lori. And thank you.
Get it all in 5 minutes or less.
It's not easy. The thing is, the nice thing is that now that people have seen a face and a name, that they can contact you and they can be comfortable knowing you're there. And I can tell you that I know how busy you are through our monthly meetings at the board and the presentations that each of you give to the board members. So thank you for your presentations tonight. And I hope you'll stay around and see what's happening with broadband, because my computer crashed twice during the presentations tonight. So I can't say that broadband can't come quick enough. But anyways, we know that broadband is a topic of discussion at all 3 levels of government. In the last 16 months, the pandemic has shown federal, provincial, and municipal governments have an ever-growing need, as do every parent in our municipality. Emily Curry is the Economic Officer from the Huron North Community Economic Alliance, or HENCE as we know it. George Chris is the representative from Leapfrog, and George Bilodeau is my partner in crime down the line and the representative from H&M Coffee. So Emily, you're going to take center stage.
Thanks, Sally. Hang on, I'll get my screen going here. Let me know when it comes up, please.
Okay.
Anything yet?
Not yet. Press that share screen again.
Okay. I also have broadband challenges at home here, so let me know if I cut out. Okay, here we go. Oh man. Okay, can you see it?
Yep.
Perfect. My present button. Great. Okay, thank you, Sally, for the introduction. If you missed it, my name is Emily Curry, and I'm an Economic Development Officer with the Huron North Community Economic Alliance, or HENCE for short. We're a regional collaboration of communities along the North Shore with the purpose of growing economies and creating stronger partnerships. So on this slide, you see Hensey's member communities. Like I said, we're all along the North Shore from Spanish to Garden River First Nation, and it's quite the big area, but luckily there's 2 of us. And in non-COVID times, I'm usually based right out of Blind River, and my partner, Amanda, is in the Sioux right now. As I mentioned before, we are a regional network that facilitates projects and initiatives that work in favor of businesses and communities with the goal of growing economies and stimulating business. We are funded by FedNor, and under that contract, we've committed to grow the tourism and agriculture sectors, as well as work on an investment attraction strategy for communities, and administer and deliver training services and workshops, to name a few. We do have some others, but these are kind of our active projects right now. So in agriculture, I'll just give you a little rundown of all of our projects and then touch on broadband at the end, and then let George and George take it away. So in agriculture, we were all set to host a forum in the spring of 2020, but unfortunately things kind of hit the fan and we had to table that project for the time being. So we kind of gathered ourselves and built a partnership with Buy Algoma Buy Local with the plan to kind of highlight local businesses through an itineraries project. So we put all of our local ag producers on a map and created some social media challenges, I guess I would say, with the goal of getting people out to local businesses and to support them. And despite COVID restrictions, it was actually a pretty successful project. We saw a really good increase in social media engagement, and we managed to raise over $900 for United Way. During the various lockdowns, we also provided and attended some agriculture economic development training. And we're now in the process of planning fall forums with the goal of moving that forward and continuing on with education and training in the area. And we're also putting together an agriculture advisory committee, which we hope to start up some bigger infrastructure projects. So if there's anyone on the line here that's in agriculture and interested in participating on a committee, my contact will be at the end, and I would appreciate hearing from you. In tourism, we had initiated a project to start working on market readiness with small businesses. This never really got past the initial planning stage before COVID hit. So hopefully we will be able to pick that up once we're able to get out and start meeting with our business owners in person again. We did hold a virtual town hall with the goal of hearing about the impacts of COVID that it has had on the tourism sector, and got some good intel from that. And we've managed to support some of our tourism folks through some challenges that they've been experiencing. We've also partnered with Destination Northern Ontario to develop a regional travel guide. Hopefully that will be on the shelves soon. It's supposed to go to print this week, so stay tuned on that. And then similar to agriculture, we're hoping to hold some open sessions in the fall to get a better sense for how operators in tourism would like to move the sector forward over the next couple of years. Working with the lovely staff and communities, we've been going through the Government of Ontario's investment readiness test. And this is kind of the first step to developing a larger regional attraction strategy to hopefully bring bigger business into the area. And then to create and maintain strong regional connections, we have initiated a series of sessions where we get economic development professionals together in a virtual room. And we talk about current projects, funding opportunities, challenges that we're facing. And we're finding that this flow of information has been really helpful while trying to navigate economic growth during a global pandemic. So lastly, I'll tell you a little bit about what we've done in broadband. For Hensey, broadband has kind of been one of those peripheral projects that was not in our initial contract with FedNor, but obviously it plays such a key role and it's such a key component of developing the North. So it's something that's important that we've been working on it, and it's certainly taken the center stage over the past year and a half. So since November of 2019, Hensi assembled both a temporary regional task force as well as a more structured broadband advisory committee. And the goal with these groups was to kind of explore current funding opportunities, assess current needs in both the public and private sector, determine what current infrastructure we have across the region, and to start building relationships with internet service providers, which I think we've been pretty successful at. So we've supported several applications to the Universal Broadband Fund. Leapfrog had 10 separate applications for the rapid response funding. So that's 10 Hensi communities, 10 out of 15, which we were really happy with, have gone in. And I know that George has heard back on a few of those, so I'll let him tell you about that. And Leapfrog also submitted on behalf of these 10 communities for the core funding, which was a bigger fund with a later timeline. And then we also supported H&M Kofi's application to the core fund. But I'll let George tell you a little bit more about that as well. And hopefully they can both share a little bit about the status of their projects. So that's it for me. If anyone has any questions, my contact information is there and you can find out more on our website.
And thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
And now we're going to be turning the floor over to Leapfrog and George Chris, followed by George Bilodeau and H&M Coffee.
Hi, how are you? And thanks for having us. Okay,
We can hear you, we just can't see you.
okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Not
Okay,
yet.
good. Okay, as Emily mentioned, we had made some submissions to the rapid response and to the regular Universal Broadband Fund for funding. Leapfrog was successful obtaining 2 projects in the rapid response stream. The first one we were notified about a month ago for Prince Township. I missed the beginning of your meeting tonight because we were making the formal presentation to Prince Township. We were also awarded a second community that's on Highway 17, but we're not able to disclose it until there's a public announcement. Leapfrog will be doing 7 projects this year. 6 of them are on Highway 17. Our goal actually is to provide service from Prince Township and right to the junction of 17 and 11. One of the other projects we were given was Nipissing First Nation, which we're about to start that one as well. We were also awarded another project in Temagami, and that's opened up a lot of doors for Leapfrog in Northern Ontario. The other projects are going to be expansions from our base in Ironbridge. We'll be doing an expansion from the Red Rock Tower to bring service over to Sowerby. And our plan is also to bring service to Elliott Lake and Blind River. Blind River, we're hoping to have service there hopefully by the end of August. So if we will encourage people to go to our website, www.leapfrogtelecom.com, and they can pre-register. We've got equipment on order and we're working with the town to get set up. One of the on the tower, we're going to be deploying 2 different technologies. The first one is just strictly a line of sight technology. It'll allow us to bring speeds up to 200 meg service down, 20 up, and the footprint will allow us to go about 20 to 30 kilometers from the tower. Like I said, this one here is strictly line of sight. It should be able to cover most of the town, and with most of the town not having the regular tree canopy that's existing in Northern Ontario, we'll be able to bring really terrific internet speeds at affordable prices. We have no contracts, no data caps, and the service will be augmented with TV white space. Leapfrog's the only company right now that's licensed to use this technology. The key about this technology is it allows us to provide service up to 50 meg down, 10 up, but this technology will penetrate through the heavy tree canopy. So people that have trees in their area will be able to get terrific internet coverage. The maximum speeds, though, that we can offer from this technology will be 50 meg down, 10 up. And this will also allow us to go beyond the town of Blind River. We should be able to go 10 kilometers out from the tower location. And like I said, we're still working with the town, or we're told we should be able to go where the water tower is, and we're hoping to, like I said, be up and running by the end of August. Worst case, I'll say the middle of September. Here on the screen, we're just showing the rates that will be offered. The rates will vary from $80 per month to $120 per month for the top speed. There is a one-time activation fee of $300. And again, there's no data caps, no contracts, and unlimited usage. We also offer VoIP telephone packages. The VoIP telephone is just a regular telephone service, but it goes through the internet rather than through regular telephone lines. As you can see from the pricing, they're substantially the prices are much cheaper than what you would pay from an incumbent. And we also have a TV package that is IPTV. Again, it's internet based. There's the skinny package, which is just the basic that's been mandated by the CRTC. We have a skinny plus that will allow people up to 62 channels. And to me, the best part about this is there's a pick 5. So where you pick any channel, any 5 channels you want. You can even add 10, which reduces the price per channel. And but the key is you're not forced to take channels that you would normally not want to watch. The service is powered by ATOP TV, and it's really just an alternative service where you have TV based strictly on your requirements, not that you're forced to take packages or channels that you would never watch. So basically, we hope to be, we will be in Blind River offering this service by September for sure. And we're aiming to be able to do all this in August. And that's it. Short and sweet. And we're looking forward to bringing good broadband at reasonable prices to the residents of Blind River.
Great to know. Thanks so much, George. And last but certainly not least, my friend and colleague, Mayor George Bilodeau. George, you're representing H&M Coffee tonight, and the stage is yours.
Well, thank you. I believe Pam has my slide deck.
She's coming to my screen because my computer died. So hang on one moment.
George, you would have it ready for you to click along, but I can try to load it. Hold on.
Yeah, the internet here in the Iron Bridge area is touchy at times. It could be better. And if we ever get off the ground, it'll be excellent. While I see the ADSAB representatives still there, I'd like to thank them for their support. We have a beautiful letter of support from their behalf for H&M Coffee Project. And also H&C, Emily, thank you. And also the town of Blind River. So Pam, do I move it along by myself or do you?
I will be your person, George.
Oh, thank you.
All you need to say is next screen and I will move it along.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I didn't think you'd be playing that role for me, Sally.
Hey, I am a Jill of many trades.
Well, your worship, I thank you very much for inviting us to do this presentation. It's coming in at a very moment in time, and it's very important for us to be able to be here this evening. So here we have the first screen as it shows off the total area that H&M Coffee is talking about, including Manitoulin Island. And thank you again. Next slide, please. I'll try to be quick. I think we have about 10 slides.
Okay, and if we can get the page to go down, we'll be good. There we go.
So community solution for regional broadband. Before we start off in regards to these here is we are at the wholesale level. We are not at the ISP levels, is that the ISPs will be able to have access to a full broadband fiber rich situation. So our region has always had subpar telecommunications, or often I say a band-aid solution. Some have a little bit more and some have none and some have a little. Years behind the technology available to suburban, urban Canada. Historically, we are 20 years behind. HNC, Blue Sky had issued RFPs in 2019, and the municipality of Huron Shores reached out to the industry to find out what is available and what are the capabilities and what can we do to move ahead and to improve the situation. We know that there is fiber in the area, but that fiber is limited in capacity, is limited in speed and so forth, and it's at certain maximums capabilities. So we want to control our destiny through H&M Coffee. And then the presentation explains why and how it will meet our needs. So community support will set the course for success. Next slide, please. So Huron Shore and Manitoulin Island, the region between Sudbury, Sault Ste. Marie, is a prime economic development zone. And if we are able to get this off the ground, it'll be a shot in the arm for economic development for the whole area and would change the GDP readings for us, our municipalities and Highway 17 corridor, as well as Manitoulin. So where we are located, everybody's from Huron, Lake Huron, along Lake Huron and Manitoulin. We have many northern focused industries. It's when you start looking at them, and Emily is sure she has discovered many gems within the industrial area. We have a very large freshwater island. It'd be great if these sailors would be able to have access to internet capabilities while they are sailing. and we are an underutilized inland archipelago. To compete nationally and globally, we need to be in the 21st century. Next slide, please. We have the little picture of fiber to the home at the top because we will be fiber rich. So our community's internet pain, most populated popular corridor in Northern Ontario, is underserved. Disguised data caps through data throttling, always 10 to 20 years behind the suburban areas. Very expensive service, poor service on low speeds, limited internet options. 5010 today is way below our needs. We are in the needs of the gigabytes, so therefore fiber to the home will deliver data rates of 1 gigabyte and higher. So for somebody, the hospitals or even the schools, and I believe some of the schools here are at the 1 gigabyte situation, but when you have 20, 30 students online, plus the staff and then the administration being to work, 100 gigabyte, it doesn't do it. So we would be able to do beyond that. If they want 10 gigabytes for the hospital or 10 gigabytes for the high school or the primary school, that is a capable situation. This solution puts our communities in charge of our future technology. Next slide, please. Progress to date. Economic development and technical agencies have given us support, such as ELNOS, Ellicott Retirement Living, HNC, Sault Ste. Marie Innovation Center endorsed the project. History has shown that improvements require government funding, and that's where we're at this moment. The improvements delivered as part of the governments will be in place for the next 30 years. Our system will be built for the future, will be built with a lot of capacity, and it will be excellent. The proposals offered today are delivering yesterday's technology. The community-owned solution is one that we control. It will meet our internet demands in the future. And this is the area that our project intends to cover, from Echo Bay up to Nairn Center and all of Manitoulin. So that map is quite familiar with everybody, and up to Elliott Lake and beyond Elliott Lake to the cottage areas in that existing north of Elliott Lake. Next slide, please. The vision, community broadband network, really it will be affordable and high quality, serve all the residential and commercial needs, which is commercial needs. It would be excellent for economic development, and as again, a shot in the arm in regards to economic. Equitable, fundamental to the future economic and social prosperity. It is for all citizens and businesses, 100% coverage. Municipally governed, that is a part that is very, very important, and that's where investments are going to be talked about in the very near future. Is if we want to own it and we want to have it being able to help economic development. We know on a yearly basis, $25 to $26 million of internet revenues leave the area, goes off to Toronto, goes off to New Brunswick, or off to BC. It would be nice to see that $24 million or $26 million come back in the region and being reinvested for economic development. Future-proof. Within the UVF applications, all projects need to be built for the future. In other words, today 5010 doesn't cut it. We need the gig and then even beyond the gig. If anybody is looking at streaming and doing so for a lot of internet access, and they have 2 or 3 children in the house with their pads and somebody's streaming on TV and or playing games, 5010 does not cut it. Open access means to say that our wholesale project would be available to all the ISPs that are in the regions. Presently, we have 4 ISPs that are wanting to be within our system. Next slide, please. economic revenue sharing model, which I just finished mentioning. The revenue coming to our region, stimulate job creation, improve social and education capabilities. We know that with the children, many have had to struggle to be able to keep up with their education with the lack of a proper internet services. Keep investments in your community and compete globally in a digital economy without leaving your community. In this instance here, we have a lot of people that are moving to the area, leaving the Toronto or leaving the large cities and coming to our area, buying homes. And the first question is asked, well, how's the internet? If the internet is good, they will be able to work from home. And that's become the in thing now since the pandemic. So closing the digital divide, this sort of lays out capabilities in regards to town hall meetings, such as this evening, smart water management with the internet capabilities with high speed and so forth. Some municipalities, larger municipalities than Blind River, would have traffic security or the stoplights and so forth, and also cameras in different areas being able to be used efficiently. Smart education, as I indicated earlier about the schools, and then that high school with 1 gigabyte is not sufficient. In this case here, more than 1 gigabyte would be available. Smart agriculture. As we see in this picture here, the cow has a Fitbit around its neck and is determined to be able to determine the temperature of the cow. The cow is active. What's it's eating? Is it healthy? And if not, well, the farmer is able to identify and go seek out that particular animal. Smart healthcare. Today, with most of our appointments with doctors are over the system, and we are working with this, and then the hospitals will be able to get 10 gigabits. My spouse was witness to an issue in Elliott Lake where a doctor was treating her, and his nurse came in and indicated to him that she had been trying 5 separate times to send information of a ultrasound or an information to the specialist in other cities such as Sudbury, and at 5 times she had been timed out and she had not been able to. So the doctor had to ask her to stay overtime and try to do it in the evening when there's less activity on the internet services. That is something that is not acceptable. Our system would be able to correct that issue, and the hospital will be able to get 10 gig if they wish. Smart energy network, monitor, analyze, save money for the banking system and so forth. It would be available here in the area. Next slide, please. So the difference community broadband networks for us, our solution, we're talking a gigabyte. We're not talking 50 megabytes per second download. We're talking a gigabyte download. So the big difference, CRTC minimum is 50. Our solution is 1 gigabyte, and it has been widely well received by the federal government so far in regards to our application. Next slide, please. H&M Coffee's proposal, a community-owned fiber infrastructure. Hundreds of networks are operating across North America as community-owned. We're looking at 100% coverage, and community determines the coverage is at the board, which has been made now, which H&M Coffee Corporation can determine in different areas in the future as to after the construction is coming along. Home and businesses in hamlets would receive fiber to the home. I repeat, fiber to the home. Data rates of 1 gigabytes and higher. Internet is a required infrastructure for municipalities. Example, Hearst has had a lot of difficulties with internet, and they've decided to create their own Hearst Connect, but they are having difficulty having a proper internet service because the capacity is not there. And it's probably the same situation in our area. We do not have the capacity to offer more than 50, or sometimes we can get 100, but then 100, is it consistent 100 megabytes per second? is to be considered. So therefore, consider roads, electricity, sewer, and water. So internet for a municipality needs to be started to be considered as an infrastructure for the municipality. It becomes a controlled revenue stream for municipalities and First Nations. So reinvest revenue for new technology or reduce fees to encourage economic development. As Blind River with North Shore Power Group, they are getting revenues to help with economic development. An internet investment on that part would do the same. Support to date, H&M Coffee is building on HNC's and Blue Sky's efforts since fall 2019. The majority of communities in the region on Highway 17 corridor in Manitoulin have given us letters of support. We've partnered with Whitefish River First Nation. They are a partner for the application for ICON, and also they were partners with us with the UBF funding application. Two economic development organizations, Illitic Retirement Living and SMIC, which I indicated earlier, did support the project. Regional institutions support the project. We received many letters from different health centers, and as I indicated, ADSAB earlier, and we have 4 ISPs are waiting for the system to be approved and move ahead with construction. We have 2 ISPs on Manitoulin Island that are very interested and have given us letters of support. One is from Sault Ste. Marie also, and we have another out of Sudbury. And with the local ISPs can also jump on board if they wish, then they will be getting a much better service in regards to broadband capabilities. The federal NPP and our provincial NPP, Carol and Michael, have supported the project, and they've been helpful with contacting all the ministers that are involved with that, where I was able to make a presentation and discuss the project with them personally. We have private equity funding in line, and if the project is approved, it will be built. It will get built. H&M Coffee, non-for-profit corporation created, is seeking community investments also. And if we are able to raise a certain amount of money, a minimum of $25 million from the municipalities and from the agencies or from other corporations within the region, then we would have 49% of the revenues coming from H&M Coffee's project. Next slide, please. So thank you. And then I guess I just ran through that real fast, tried to make it within 8 minutes. And thank you, Sally, and for your worship, and everybody for listening. And any questions could be answered through our hmcoffee.ca. We are on the website. We have our webpage and also hmcoffee.com. We're also on Facebook. And my biggest request for everybody that's online and all your friends is to contact H&M Coffee on Facebook and tag the CIRA webpage. And CIRA webpage is a one to determine your capabilities in regards to what you are receiving on the internet. And it gives an evaluation for the federal government to determine, yes, this area is in great need of a fiber-rich type of system that we are offering. So CIRA, C-I-R-A, very, very important. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, George.
You're welcome.
This concludes tonight's information session. If there are topics that you would like to have addressed at future information sessions, please email your ideas to info@blindriver.ca. I'd like to thank all the presenters and you, the public, for staying engaged with your community. We all know that Blind River is the greatest place, sorry, George, to live, work, and play. Have a great evening, everyone, and good night.